All right. Just really quick before we begin, if you could do your best to answer in complete sentences, that'll be great. If you forget, no big deal. I'll probably just remind you. And
Okay.
then once you get used to it, we'll be good to go. Also, I might leave a little bit of leeway time, or what we call dead air, between your answer and my next question, and that's just for editing purposes. So when I
Okay.
don't go directly into the next question, it's not that you like said anything wrong or anything like that. It's just for editing, so Eric
Okay.
can edit. All right. So the first question that I have for you is, what is your name and how are you associated with SSC?
Okay. My name is Keyanna White, but I do go by Marvelous. But everyone in class calls me the General.
The
So
general.
yeah.
Here, hold on. Let me adjust your audio a little bit. It's a little low. One more time, can you tell me your name and how you're associated with SSC?
Oh, okay. So my name is Keyanna White, but I go by Marvelous. But everyone in my carpentry classes call me the General. How am I associated with SSC? I'm a student here. Currently picking up a trade in construction carpentry. So.
Tell me. So you said that your nickname is Marvelous, but the guys in your construction class call you the General.
Yes.
Why? How'd you get that nickname?
Um, Funny story. So when I was taking building 101, like just me personally, like I'm always one to like motivate people. Like if you're doing a good job, like one thing about me, like like when I'm doing jobs or odd ends or whatever, like I always grew up like, if you're doing something good, it feels good to know that you're doing something good, especially like when you're learning something new. You always want, to know that like you're going in the right direction. So growing up, that's just how I was. Like if I see someone doing something or I see something that I like, I'll compliment you on it, or I'll tell you like, oh, just look, okay, I'll compliment you on it, and then I'll tell you like, man, I like that, like that's what's up. So like when I'm in class and stuff like that, like going into construction, like actually going into the class, like it was like extremely exciting for me because this is something that I always dreamed of doing, but it's just like I kind of put it on the back end, but now I'm actually doing it. So it was just like every time I went to class, I was just like always excited. I'm like, yes, like what are we learning now? Like man, we finna finish doing stairs, we finna learn attic and roof, and it was just like, so when the guys came, it wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't a lot of like enthusiasm or like, like I could tell it was late at night anyway, so I could tell like a lot of guys didn't want to be there. So I was like, come on man, like we got this. Like you gotta be here, might as well make the most of it. So like when we're in building 101 or just in class general and period, I was like we'll be building and stuff like that. And well, the teacher, he used to always say like I was always the one to take command. Like he used to break us down in like little groups, and instead of being the one that's just like, well, who wants to do this? I'm like, okay, well, I know how to do this, so I have volunteers. What do you know how to do? Like you just keep it rolling, keep the job going and stuff like that. And then also like when we're doing it, I'm like, oh, that cut is crisp. Like yes, and then you see that now, girl, yes, do that. Like just pumping them up, making the job scene, well, the class scene, just an enjoyable one, and just getting everybody at ease and stuff like that. Because when we first came to class, it was just everyone's like, I don't know you, I don't know what I'm doing, tap the nail, tap that. Like, no, girl, you gotta tap that nail. Like, come on, get into it. Like, this is something that we're gonna be doing for the rest of our lives. So why not, if you're gonna mess up, you might as well mess up here. You have teachers to correct you, and this is, it's always gonna be a learning experience for all of us. So the general, because the general is like the big man in charge or in power on the job scene. So he was, one day I literally walked in class and I was late. And then he was like, oh, the general's here. And I'm just, the general, who was the general? So I sit down and the whole class period, like I'm still like not even realizing that he's talking to me. Like he's talking to me like, general. And I'm literally looking at him. He's looking dead at me. And I'm just like, who are you talking to? And like the whole class is just dying laugh. I'm like, what's funny? Like, who's the general? We got a new student? And they're like, no, that's you. I'm like, my name's Keyanna. Like, he was like, no, that's your new name. I'm like, why? And then he told me, and I was just like, okay, it makes sense. All right. So yeah, that's how I got the name the general.
That's a solid nickname. Yeah, I kind of wish I had a cool nickname like that.
It's
Yeah,
pretty decent.
I'm jealous of that. Let me go ahead and check audio over there here really quick. Okay, cool. Make sure we're good. Everything sounded good. You look great. This is going really well.
Okay.
So the first question that I have for you, I'm just going to jump right into the questions that I need you to answer, and then we'll kind of go back and answer some of the other ones I wanted you to talk a little bit about. The trades I know is generally a non-traditional field for women.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you think women traditionally haven't chosen roles in this profession?
Because of stereotypes and stereotypes placed onto the female body. So like traditionally women weren't the ones that were the breadwinner, or they went out and things like that. They were the ones that stayed home, clean, or did more feminine things like raise the kids or like garden or like just if it was promoted that they were quote unquote allowed to get a job, it wasn't something that was so hand on and like dirty, air quotes. But now like being at that, it's still like being enforced in us as a kid, even as we grow up, it's just something that, in the back of the mind, you still like, oh, that'd be cool. But, it's not, it won't be seen as, something that I should be doing, or it'll be looked down upon. And that's for one reason why myself, I kind of put what I wanted to do on the back burner because, peer pressure is a real thing. And then also what your peers and your family members think of you, that actually matters. Even though we want to say that it doesn't, at the end of the day, it does matter. But for me, it just got to a point in my life where I wasn't miserable, but I knew for a fact that I was spending all of this money going into a career or a future that it wasn't going to please me. It was basically to please my family. And I remember talking to one of my friends when I was in college, and it was just a horrible day. I had failed my nursing practice. We had both failed our nursing a nursing test. And it was just like, I studied so hard. I've been up for 4 days straight, like literally have not been to eating, haven't been to track practice, had just literally just focused on passing this test. And I failed and I'm just like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. Like, I just know, like, I just like doing hands-on things. I like being involved with people. And so she was just like, like she just pointed out some of the things that like when we had in class, like the cadaver. I hated the cadaver. You know what a cadaver is? Yeah, I hated the cadaver. It was just like, it was just like, oh, I'm not going to touch that. And it was like being that the fact that it was like a live person, like this is someone's body. It's just like, you mess up, it's just like, it's kind of disrespectful because you're like, but they donated their body to science, but it's just like, that's one thing I always hated. And then it just got me thinking like, this is something that I like, but it's something I'm really passionate about. And so then that's one of the reasons I changed my majors. And then after that, I just, more research and, I began to go into these groups where it was like, it's called Awakening. Our school had a spiritual vacation called Awakening. And I actually was tricked to go on to one, but it actually turned out for the better because it actually taught myself to, be more keen with myself and actually listen to, what I really want for myself and not care so much about what others want. So that's one reason after I graduated, I was like, my family have what they wanted. Now it's time to make me happy. So that's one reason I did go into trades. And even though I would talk about it for a long time, like years and years, every time I brought it up to my family friend, they were like, why do you want to do that? Like, you're a girl though. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Girls don't do that. I'm like, says who? Like, why? And no one can actually give me an actual answer. It's just like, we just don't. I'm like, okay, but who put these stereotypes into place that a female should be expected to do this? Like, why can't we cross over? Like, it's 2019, 2018 now. Like, why can't we do things that we want to do and not have to worry about others looking at us some type of way? So that's one reason, like going into construction, like when I actually signed up for the class, like I was extremely nervous. I was just like, oh my God, I really did it. Like, it was like mind-boggling, like mind-blowing. And then the first day I went to class, it was just like, I'm here, like, yo, this is real. Like, this is real life. Like, and then, when I first went to class, it was kind of intimidating because like, it was me, myself, and it was two other girls. One of the girls, she was like extremely girly girl. I'm just like, okay, like she had a full face of makeup on, eyebrows done, hair on fleek. It was just like, okay, I know she's not finna get dirty. And the other girl, she was more like laid back, but you like after we started working and stuff, it's just like, for a fact, like she in this class just because, just to pass credits, but not because this is actually something that she's passionate about. I'm sorry, what was the question?
No, it's okay. The question was about the trades not being a traditional field for women usually, and why you think women haven't traditionally chosen a career in this profession.
Well, yeah, because of that, and then also because like a lot of the times we're told to, shoot for the stars and, dream big, and you could do anything you put your mind to as a child. But then as we grow up and, we go to middle school, we go to high school and things like that, things that isn't seen as norm, things that even if you want to follow your own path, it's seen as weird and you're bullied for it or you're mocked for it or you're talked down about for it, you're belittled for, wanting to be someone else rather than the normal person that, works the 9 to 5, or, goes to working back home. But instead of like following what you really want to do, follow your passion, something that makes you happy instead of making other people happy. That's one thing. And then another thing, like I said, the stereotypes. The stereotypes are real. Like a lot of people don't really believe that, stereotypes, can stop people from doing things that they really want to, but it does. And I feel as if those are the two major things. And then, once you do something that's not, seen as the norm or isn't really spoke highly upon, it can really affect your decision to, either, to either further your career or, choose another career. And then those are two things, that I would say definitely having an impact. And then, family, friends as well. I come from a family that are very spiritual, religious people. So, they were like, okay, why do you want to go in this? Like, that's not girly. And I'm just like, okay, like, why does it have to be? Like, they were like, well, no, pick something else. Like, that's a lot of work. I've never been afraid of hard work. Like, okay, give me another reason not to go into it. Okay, give me another reason. Like their reasonings for not wanting me to go into it was more based off they were scared or nervous of what other people would think of me rather than what I can actually do and accomplish while going into this field. So that's one thing over last year that I actually sat down with myself and I asked myself, what exactly do you want to do? Like you're a female, yes, but you're black, yes, you're a minority, and you have all these things pushed against you, but that doesn't have to stop you from prevailing. Like if this is something that you really want to do, why allow what other people think stop you? And I was telling my friend the other day, she's actually want to go into welding, and I was telling her like, bro, like if you want to do this, go ahead, do it. Like you are young, like you have your whole life ahead of you. If you get into it and you figure out this is not something that you want to do, you can always go to original college, you can go to a community college, you can always do anything else, go to a 9-to-5 job. Like it doesn't really matter. Like I'd rather you figure it out now while you're young, you have your whole life ahead of you, and then be 98 years old, close to your deathbed and be like, man, I really wish I would have did this. Or be miserable because you're working a 9-to-5 instead of doing something that actually makes you happy. So, yeah.
Good answer. I think I might hear your bracelets. So, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. You could just, if you want to throw it maybe over in that area. Perfect. And then, no, you're doing a great job. Okay. Yeah,
if I'm talking too much, you're not just...
No, I prefer having more to work with than less. Okay. So, no, this is good. So one thing that you mentioned during our phone interview is the reason you wanted to get it into trades is not necessarily to prove a point about women, but more so to prove to yourself that you can do it. Can you kind of explain that and what your goal is while coming to South Suburban College? Like what your eventual goal is?
Prove a point to myself. So I'm a twin. So growing up, I come from a family of 8. My sister is the oldest, then there's 4 boys, and then it's me, and then it's my twin, and then it's a younger brother. So out of the 8, there's only 2 girls. So, growing up, I was always, I wouldn't really say I wanted to fit in, but, I remember myself wanting to have fun. Like, I remember my mom used to always dress me up in like dresses, like the church dresses, with the bows and stuff like that. And I remember this, she used to always buy me Barbie dolls and stuff like that. And I was only allowed to play inside the house or on the porch, away from the dirt. And it was this one time, it was my brother's name. We had this huge backyard and they were playing in the backyard. And I was just like, you know what? I don't want to play with Barbies anymore. I want to go play with them. I want to run. I want to, exercise. I want to do this and do this. They were climbing trees, jumping. I was scared to jump fences. I ain't gonna lie to you. But they were climbing trees, just basically enjoying being outside and being a kid and being out of school. It was like summertime and we were on summer vacation. And so I remember just walking up to them and I was like, I want to play. And they were like, you want to play tag with us? I'm like, yeah. They were like, you're going to get dirty because we're going to push you down. I'm like, okay. That's fine. So yeah, it's true to their word. We started playing tag and I was running and they all came after me and pushed me down and I was like, okay, that's cool. I skinned my knee or whatever, I cried a little bit, won't cry, won't lie about it. But I remember myself getting back up and I'm like, okay, I still want to play. And they kept trying to intimidate me to the point where like, you're a girl, you don't need to be doing this. I'm like, okay, but I want to have fun. Okay, but I want to have fun. And so like I remember looking back over my whole childhood, like whether it be bike rides through the neighborhood with my brothers and the other neighborhood kids, like the other boys and stuff like that, just wanted to have fun or just wanted to express myself and just be a kid, without all these barriers. Like, yeah, you're a kid, but you can only do this, this, and this. Like, why can't I do it all? So that's one thing looking back that actually inspired me to, do this. And then just okay, so the point of proving it to myself. So one reason I was going into, when I went to college, I was going into nursing, but I was actually double majoring for nursing and teaching. Those two things is because that's something that, you know, when I was younger, my mom and my other aunties and cousins, they were like, oh, you know, you'll make a good nurse, you know, because you're always doctoring up your brothers and them. But the real reason I would doctor them up is because I knew if my mom got home and she saw that they were hurt, we all were going to get it. So I'm like, you know, I know how to put a Band-Aid, put some witch hazel, you know, do this, that. You know, we're going to fix this before mom find out. Nope, I'm not getting a whooping for you. So, you know, they saw that passion. It wasn't really a passion, but it was just like something I enjoyed doing, caring for people and like being involved with people. So, listen, you should be a teacher. You should be a nurse. I'm like, oh, okay, you know, started looking more into maybe that is something I can see myself doing. So, you know, I went to school for it. I actually took classes in high school for it to just push the waters and see if this really was something I enjoyed. It was, but it wasn't something that made me happy. It was like kind of like a hobby, you know, you do it for a little bit and then you're just like, okay, what's next? You know, so being that that's something that I always wanted to do or told myself that I wanted to do because other people told me that's what I wanted to do. When I went to college, I'm like, that's what I want to do. But it wasn't until I got into college and actually took actual nursing classes and began shadowing people in like nurses in hospitals and things like that, that I was just like, you know what, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this is out of my league. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And, you know, then it was just got to a point where you're in college spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for what? Like, you're not happy. You don't like going to class. You don't like doing this. You don't know these words. Like, there's no motivation other than the fact that the other people wanted you to do this. So why are you still here? Why are you still doing this? And so it was a point in college where I wanted to drop out because of that. I was like, I feel as if, you know, falling in the stereotype of the environment I was raised in, it wouldn't be bad. You know, graduated from high school, you know, with a GED.